8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news, edited by Danushka Madhawala and read by Indrani Senanayaka. The headlines. A special event to commemorate the 150th birth anniversary of the founder of the radio communication, Guglielmo Marconi, was held this evening. The Prime Minister said that Radio Ceylon has received the highest recognition from Guglielmo Marconi. It is stressed that the people can now believe that the country can overcome the economic crisis under this government. Plans underway to gazette 49 more destinations as tourism zones. Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa to visit Sri Lanka. In foreign news, Humza Yousaf resigns as Scotland's First Minister. In sports news, England's Unipola fined after arrest in Mallorca. A special event to commemorate the 150th birth anniversary of the founder of the radio communication, Guglielmo Marconi, was held this evening at the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The event was held under the patronage of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. The keynote address was delivered by the President of the Guglielmo Marconi Foundation, Dr. Giulia Fortunato. Addressing the gathering, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that Radio Ceylon has received the highest recognition from Guglielmo Marconi. It was proved by his visit to Radio Ceylon at that time. His visit helped the development of radio in Sri Lanka. The Premier went on to say that this day can be used to strengthen the bilateral ties between Sri Lanka and Italy. Chairman of the SLBC, senior journalist Hudson Samarasinghe, in his speech welcomed the gathering and emphasized the fact that radio plays a pivotal role in modern society. He also said that radio keeps people young. Distinguished guests, including the Ambassador of Italy to Sri Lanka, Damiano Frankovic, Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, and the Speaker of the Parliament, Mahinda Yapa Abhiwardena, graced the occasion. State Minister Shehan Sebasinghe says that the people can now believe that the country can overcome the economic crisis. People doubted that the government would be able to overcome the economic crisis. The State Minister said that the business community in the country can put their trust in the government and continue their businesses without fear. He added that credit should be given to the respective parties who shouldered this enormous burden. The State Minister was speaking today at the Abhimana 2024 meeting of the Development Lotteries Board. The Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau says that more than 2,000 Sri Lankans have obtained foreign employment in South Korea during the past 4 months of this year. Of that number, 109 individuals have received jobs in the industrial sector. 351 individuals have received jobs in the fisheries sector. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, and we continue with local news. State Minister of Tourism Diana Gamage revealed plans to designate 49 additional tourist destinations as official tourist zones. These locations will be published in a gazette within a month as part of the ongoing efforts to boost tourism. During a press conference held at the Presidential Media Centre under the theme Collective Path to a Stable Country, State Minister of Tourism Diana Gamage announced plans to establish a dedicated committee tasked with preventing and monitoring fraud and corruption within the tourism sector. The State Minister further elaborated that the government has received numerous complaints regarding tourist harassment in our country. She said that she had spoken out about this issue before. Complaints range from overcharging for food to inflated prices for train tickets to tourist spots, and even instances of sexual harassment against a tourist promoting Sri Lanka. The government is implementing measures to combat these activities. We cannot afford to let the reputation of our country suffer due to the actions of a few individuals who make mistakes. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan, Yoko Kamikawa, is scheduled to undertake a 2-day official visit to Sri Lanka on the 4th of next month. During this visit, the Japanese Foreign Minister is scheduled to pay courtesy calls on President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. The Japanese Foreign Minister and her delegation will have official discussions with the Foreign Minister Ali Sabri during the visit. The foreign minister will be occupied by senior officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan, Yoko Kamikawa, is scheduled to take a 2-day official visit on the 4th of next month. During this visit, the Japanese foreign minister is scheduled to pay courtesy calls, and the tourism minister will be accompanied by senior officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan. And that ends the local segment of news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala.
And on to the main news story. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan, Yoko Kamikawa, is scheduled to undertake a 2-day official visit to Sri Lanka on the 4th of next month. During this visit, the Japanese Foreign Minister is scheduled to pay courtesy calls on President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. The Japanese Foreign Minister and her delegation have official discussions with the Foreign Minister Ali Sabri during the visit. The Foreign Minister will be accompanied by senior officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan, and that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala.
A coordinated search operation conducted by the Sri Lanka Navy and the Coast Guard in the sea area of Pesale, Mannar, yesterday led to the apprehension of 4 persons for illegally harvesting sea cucumber. The operation also resulted in the confiscation of 343 illegally harvested sea cucumbers and 2 dinghies. To prevent illegal fishing practices in Sri Lanka sea and coastal areas, the Navy is actively monitoring and enforcing operations with a view to support legal fishing activities.
Coming up, World News.
First, the headlines. Humza Yousaf resigns as Scotland's first Prime Minister. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez will not resign after allegations against wife. Kenya dam burst, kills more than 40. The Scottish National Party leader Humza Yousaf quits, triggering a search for a successor and new First Minister. He said he had underestimated the level of hurt after ending a power-sharing deal with the Scottish Greens last week. Mr. Yousaf says he will stay on as First Minister until the SNP chooses its replacement. Opposition parties in the Scottish Parliament have tabled 2 confidence votes, one in the First Minister and another in the SNP government. You can stream live BBC News video by clicking the play button in the picture at the top of this page. Pedro Sanchez has said that he will stay on as Spain's Prime Minister following 5 days of speculation over his future. Mr. Sanchez cancelled official engagements last week after a court opened an initial inquiry into his wife over corruption claims. He denounced them as a harassment campaign by right-wing media. Expressions of solidarity from all sections of society meant he decided to remain in office, he added. A series of demonstrations were held around Spain over the weekend, calling for the Prime Minister to continue in his post. More than 10,000 people gathered in front of the Socialist Party's headquarters in Madrid in a show of support for the Prime Minister. More than 40 people have died in Kenya after a dam burst following heavy rains and flooding. Homes were swept away and roads were cut off after the dam burst in Kamuchiri village in western Kenya. Nakuru County Governor told media 42 dead. It's a conservative estimate. There are still more in the mud. More than 100 people have been killed in the floods that have devastated parts of Kenya in the last month. Rescue teams are digging through the mud in search of survivors in the village near the small town of Mai Mahiu, about 60 kilometers from the capital of Nairobi. To end this bulletin of World News, the headlines again. Humza Yousaf resigns as Scotland's First Minister. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez will not resign after allegations against his wife. Kenya dam burst, kills more than 40, and that ends this bulletin of World News. We now take a look at development news. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says that the Development Lotteries Board has contributed immensely for the development of the Mahapolis Scholarship Program. The Mahapolis Scholarship Program was inaugurated by the late Minister Lalit Atulat Mudili for the benefit of the university students of low-income families. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena was speaking today at the Sanbardhana Abhiman 2024 meeting of the Development Lotteries Board, and that was development news.
Moving on with sports news.
England number 1 Billy Vunipola has been fined €240 following an incident in Mallorca on Sunday in which he was arrested. BBC Sport understands the 31-year-old was tasered by police in the early hours of Sunday morning in Palma, the capital of the Spanish island, and subsequently charged with resisting the law. While the police investigation is now closed, Saracens Vunipola Club says that they will deal with the matter internally. Vunipola says the incident was an unfortunate misunderstanding and he will cooperate with the Saracens international investigation, and that was sports news.
Go ekathiana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyamata set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyamata set wenna friendship එක menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Elon Musk is visiting Beijing, with media reports saying he aims to discuss enabling autonomous driving mode on Tesla cars in China. Mr. Musk wants to enable full self-driving in China and transfer data collected in the country abroad to gain its algorithms. FSD is available in countries including the US, but not in China. The news came after a US report tied Tesla's autonomous driving modes to at least 13 crashes, involving 1 death. During a meeting with Chinese Premier Li Qiang, Mr. Musk was quoted by state media saying Tesla was willing deep cooperation with China to achieve more win-win results.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekathiana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyamata set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyamata set wenna friendship එක menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
State Minister of Tourism Diana Gamage reveals plans to designate 49 additional tourist destinations as official tourist zones. These locations will be published in the Gazette within a month as part of the ongoing efforts to boost tourism. During a press conference held today at the Presidential Media Centre under the theme Collective Path to a Stable Country, State Minister for Tourism Diana Gamage announced plans to establish a dedicated committee tasked with preventing and monitoring fraud and corruption within the tourism sector.
Weather report.
We take a look at the weather report. The Met Department says the intertropical convergence zone is affecting the island's weather. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the western, Sabragama, central, northwestern, southern and Uva provinces and in the Ampara district in the evening. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places elsewhere in the evening or at night. Heavy showers of about 75 millimeters are likely at some places in the western, Sabragama, southern Uva and the eastern provinces. Showers or thundershowers may occur at several places in the coastal areas of the eastern and southern provinces during the morning hours. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the Sabragama and central provinces during the morning. To end tonight's news broadcast, we take a look at the headlines again. A special event to commemorate the 150th birth anniversary of the founder of radio communication, Guglielmo Marconi, was held this evening. The Prime Minister said that Radio Ceylon has received the highest recognition from Guglielmo Marconi. It is stressed that the people can now believe that the country can overcome the economic crisis under this government. Plans are underway to gazette 49 more destinations as tourist zones. Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa to visit Sri Lanka. In foreign news, Humza Yousaf resigns as Scotland's First Minister. In sports news, England's Vunipola fined after arrest in Mallorca. That ends tonight's news broadcast. The time is exactly 9 o'clock. This is Radio Sri Lanka.